Hello students, today I am going to deliver lecture on the topic of infinite repetition of a strategic game. As you can see in this slide, we have a payoff matrix of a strategic game. In this game we have two players, the player 1 and the player 2, and the players are having two actions. One is the cooperate, another one is defect. Now what would happen if I play this game only one time? Means the player will have only one chance to play this game. So what action the player would take? To find out the action for the players, definitely we need to calculate the equilibrium of this game, Nash equilibrium, right? So first we calculate the Nash equilibrium of this game, okay, so that we can understand which action the player would take in this game. So if I assume that the player 1 is taking the action of cooperate, now tell me which action is best for the player 2. If player 2 take cooperate, he will get 3, right? And if player 2 take defect, he will get 4. So which one is higher? 4 is higher, so definitely the player 2 will take action of defect. So here I have circled this, okay. Next, if player 1 take the action of defect, which action will be the best for the player 2? If player 2 take cooperate, he will get 1, and if player 2 take defect, he will get 2. So 2 is higher, right? So means the player 2 will take the action of defect. So here I have circled this. Now what would happen if player 2 take cooperate? Now tell me which action is best for the player 1. If player 1 take cooperate, he will get 3, and if player 1 take defect, he will get 4. So 4 is higher, so definitely the player 1 will choose defect in this case. So here I have circled this. Now what would happen if player 2 take the action of defect? Which one is best for the player 1? If player 1 take cooperate, he will get 0. If player 1 take action of defect, he will get 2. So 2 is higher, means the defect is the best action. So here I have circled this. So you can see here in this block we have two circles, means the defect is the equilibrium of this game. So here defect comma defect is the equilibrium, means both the player will choose the defect. Now why the players are choosing action of defect, why the player have not chosen the action of cooperate? There is a reason behind this. What is the reason here? So reason here is, if player 1 take the action of cooperate, right, and suppose the player 2 take the action of defect, what would happen? How much the player 1 will get? The player 1 will get 0 in this case, right? The player 1 will get 0. So this is very risky for the player 1 to take the action of cooperate, because if player 1 take cooperate, so there is a chance that he can get 0. So that is why the player 1 will never like to take the action of cooperate. Similarly here, if player 2 take cooperate and if player 1 take defect, what would happen? He will get the payoff of 1, which is very less. So again the player 2 will never like to take the chance, will never like to take the action of cooperate in this game. So that is why both the players is taking the action of defect. Okay. Now what would happen if I play this game for infinite number of times? Means the player will have the chance to play this game for infinite number of times. What would happen? Which will be the strategy for the players? What will be the strategy for the players? Now if I play this game for infinite number of times, definitely the players would like to take chance, so that he can see the strategy of the other players, and as per the strategy of the other players, he will make the strategy for him for the next iterations, right? So if I assume the player 1 is taking the action of cooperate in the first iteration, he is taking chance, because he know that he is having infinite number of chances. So why not to take action of cooperate? Why he is taking chance? Because he know that if I choose defect and the other one also choose the defect, then both will get 2 only. But if both choose cooperate, then he can get 3, which is higher in comparison with 2. So definitely for to get more payoff, he would like to take chance in the first iteration. So he is choosing cooperate. Now what would happen if player 2 does not take chance? Means he is choosing the action of defect. What would happen? How much the player 1 will get? So now player 1 is taking cooperate and player 2 is taking defect. So how much the player 1 is getting? 0. And how much the player 2 is getting? 4. So 0 and 4. Now in the first iteration you can see the player 1 is not happy, right, because he got very less payoff, and the player 2 is happy because he got the very high payoff, right. Now what would happen in the next iteration? That definitely the player 1 now have belief that the player 2 is not going to cooperate in the next iteration, right. Now as per the current strategy of the player 2, he will make his own strategy for the next iteration. Now the next iteration, definitely to punish the other player, he will choose the action of defect, not cooperate, because he know that he has not taken the action of defect, he has not taken the action of cooperate. That is why he is not going to cooperate in the next iteration. He is not going to repeat this mistake. So definitely the player 1 will take the action of defect in the next iteration. Now which action the player 2 will prefer? Definitely the player 2 will not take cooperate. Why? Because he know that he has not cooperated in the first iteration, and that is why the player 1 will take the action of defect, right. Now if player 2 take cooperate, what would happen? If player 2 take cooperate and player 1 is taking defect, he will get 1. Now if player 1 take defect and player 2 take defect, he will get 2. So 2 is higher, right. So definitely the player 2 will choose defect, not cooperate, because if he choose cooperate, he will get 1, and he is sure, the player 2 is sure that the player 1 will take defect. Player 1 will take defect. The player 2 is sure that the player 1 will take defect. He is not going to cooperate in the next iteration. So that is why he has taken the action of defect, not cooperate. So both will get what? Both will get 2. Now in the next iteration, again both have believed that the other player is not going to cooperate. That is why both will choose the action of defect, and both will get 2. And this will be repeated for infinite number of times, right. Now tell me, since the player 2 has taken the action of defect in the first iteration, so what is the total payoff for the player 2? The total payoff for P2 is 4 plus 2 plus 2 plus infinite number of times. 2 will be for the infinite number of times, right. So we can write like this. Okay. Now what would happen if player 1 choose cooperate and player 2 also choose cooperate? What would happen then? Means both are taking risk, because this is the very first iteration and both have no idea about the other player's strategy, and both are taking risk, both are taking the action of cooperate. They know that if both take cooperate, they can get the high payoff in comparison with the defect. That is why they both have taken risk in the first iteration. So both will get what? 3. Now in the next iteration, again both have the belief that the other one is going to cooperate. So definitely both will take the 3. Both will take the cooperate again. So both will get 3 again, and this will be repeated for infinite number of times. So now in this case, what is the total payoff for player 2? So total payoff for P2 will be what? The 3, 3, 3 and for infinite number of times. Now which one is higher, this one or this one? This is in this case the player 2 is getting high payoff, right? Higher payoff. So that is why the players will choose the action of cooperate, not choose the action of defect. So we can say that if I repeat this strategic game for infinite number of times, then the cooperate will be the cooperate will be the equilibrium of this game if I repeat this game for infinite number of times. Thank you.